So welcome back. We're going to do a cross-country cross-share out here across all the sites. And we're going to begin at JPL. And so we just had a wonderful conversation here. Who'd like to share some of those pieces out? It was a lovely spectrum of ways that we might bring this back to our audiences that we have back home, whether it's our school, our neighborhood, our community center, our whatever it might be. So, do you want to begin? Yeah. Are you game? I made you sweaty, didn't I? No, I'm going to bring it to you. Standing up is perfect, though.
I'm an elementary school teacher, and I want to take back the problem-solving technique, starting with the question and how we're going to solve it, and then getting the kids thinking about interdisciplinary and how to work together, like the scientists and engineers, and how everybody works together to solve a problem.
Wonderful. Thank you. And you're talking about the you want to go where and you want to get what, those questions, and you know, and are we there yet? All those classics?
Because we're not limited.
All right, perfect. Somebody, yes. Okay, would you stand up, please?
In today's culture where children spend so much time watching videos and playing fast-paced video games, there's very little emphasis placed on careful observation and spending patient time observing things and drawing conclusions from that. And I loved the hands-on learning and the powers of observation that we each developed for fairly mundane objects. I've never looked at ice so carefully in my life, right? And so I think that's an extremely important skill to develop in children and something that's very counterculture at this time. But if you're going to become a scientist, you need to have powers of observation that are fairly developed.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else want to add to that? Do you have a nugget you want to add to include in that? You talked about activities before. Yeah.
Activities?
Yeah. Want to just speak to that a little bit more?
I think one of the good activities that we did today was the hands-on activities, especially the one called Icy Worlds.
Okay. All right.
That's, I think that will be a good activity to use in the classroom.
Highly motivating.
To get the students engaged.
Right. Lovely.
Thinking.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go here and then there, and then it'll be another site's turn.
I'd like to share that the theme of this workshop was challenging. I mean, discovery challenges. So every discoveries that we have already, it could be wrong in 10 years from now. So students could be motivated with that. So and how they try to find some problems with probably some of the teachers, so they can even look at the broader side and then go for the with the science. They can discover some things that we were wrong all this time. So it's a good challenge of discovery.
Wonderful.
I like this.
Yeah, that's great. I think another piece. Thank you. Another piece about that is that in the next gen standards that are coming out, what we have a culture right now that's really looking at the right answer, and our standards are asking us to develop STEM thinkers, and STEM thinkers need to be able to deal with failure. We learn mostly by our boo-boos, right? So. That's again a wonderful storyline. Here's our last one, and then we'll move on to Arizona.
Thank you. What we talked about at our table was the opportunity for students to work as a team, and for the ICE,
Could you do me a favor and stand up so people? Yeah.
Sure.
Perfect.
The ICE activity where students went off in buddies. They're developing their critical thinking and language skills, and then bringing it back. Maybe utilizing technology to help them communicate their findings. But also the importance of possibly scaffolding and building the background and the vocabulary and helping them be strategic in how they note the details in what they're observing. So that's what we were discussing. So thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much. All right, Arizona.
Okay, are we on?
Yes.
All right. We had a great discussion out here in Arizona. Hello to all our sister sites. Without sounding too repetitive, I'm going to run through a quick summary of what we discussed. First off, the hands-on activities and being able to implement these and immediately take them back to share with the kids. It's relevant to them. It's meaningful. Remote sensing is better understood. And the hands-on, engaging us with the flashlights and the ice. I mean, that can immediately be used with our students, and I think that was one of the favorite lessons here from some of our staff. Edutainment is a word that was mentioned today as a powerful tool, and that we are really bringing to life the science and the inquiry process, and practicing that inquiry to explore and conclude, especially with less restrictions, is important to our students, because then there is less pressure on them to have the right answer. We also discussed the power of engineering flops and how they're still learning experiences, and how failing can still be successful. We also, we had mentioned here that scientists are adapting and technology is adapting, so it's okay ourselves to be wrong and also to adapt to that also. We discussed the importance of relationship between engineering and scientists, and seeing how in mission planning it is important to have not only a common vocabulary but also a common goal. It was important to learn about the updates of these missions, and I think that may be about all. One of the things that we would like to have more access to in our classrooms is the scientists as mentors to our students, and allowing our students to bounce questions off of them when they're doing their own investigative fieldwork. So, anybody want to add to that? Okay.
Let's move on to Johnson. Ready, Johnson? Hi.
Hi. We had a lot of those same things. The interaction with the scientists would just be phenomenal. And as far as communication, the need to be accurate, the need to be able to share ideas and speak the same language, but also through every one of the presentations, I got chills at some point. And to be able to convey that excitement to my students would just be wonderful, because their connection would then be enhanced and they'd be more invested. So thank you, because it was a wonderful experience for me.
Also, I'm always stunned by the complexity of the mission. I'm always stunned by the complexity of the missions and how many different professions are involved in making this happen. And I would really love to see more detail about the variety of professions involved, from accountants and optics people and photographers and, geologists and everybody kind of involved. I teach high school, and some of my kids love this stuff, but they're not necessarily math or science gifted, and they would love to do this kind of work. But I would just like to be able to share with them a larger variety of professions too.
Fantastic. So we have somebody else from Johnson, it looked like? Yeah.
Hi, I'm currently a student, and I'm learning how to be a teacher. And one of the many things that I'm gonna take away from this is the fact that when it comes to theory, like, the understanding of that theory is constantly changing. And when something your theory is disproven, it's important to have that question of why and to answer that. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to take away from this.
Pretty fabulous starting place for a new teacher, and we need great people like you. So thank you for being at the workshop and being with us. We need those colleagues. All right, so now on to applied physics.
Are you visible? No.
Walk toward me. Here we go.
So we talked about in our group sort of different adaptations, and so one of our adaptations was to instead of giving each group all of the lights for the ice experiment, was to have each team be specialized, so that each team, one group would be the laser, another group would be the UV, and another would be the different color lights. And so after they each saw all pans, they would split up again into teams so every team has one person from each of the specialization groups. And so that was sort of what we talked about in different adaptations for different uses of some of these activities. That's it.
Good. Okay, Karen? You got to stand issues.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Well, this experience gave me
in our group, we talked about the ability to produce a real-life product through collaboration, many people involved, and to bring that back to our schools and use what they want us to do, collaborative planning amongst ourselves, and then transfer that collaborative planning to our students to show them the effectiveness of working together to produce a product.
Here, the camera's there, so.
Me?
Yep.
Oh, one of the things that I really thought was great about this, I teach elementary school, is the amount of women that are doing the missions, and to see that the scientists and engineers to promote that, I think is fantastic. To give those, see the kids to see the, the opportunities that are there, especially girls.
We can't emphasize that enough. We have wonderful representation here. I can see a wonderful representation across all the sites. That was something that one of our colleagues here at JPL brought up as well. But what we know is we're still, women are still underrepresented, and they're minorities as well. And there's a perspective that, as a result, science and STEM careers are missing. And so we want all great, interested kids there. But thank you. That's perfect. Yes.
And we talked about both cross-curricular learning and bringing in math and bringing in reading. And we talked about using this for social studies and reaching across the entire curriculum to bring in, we had someone talking earlier about students who might not immediately feel that they had an entry into math and science and STEM, and to give them that entry through everything else, through art, through social studies, through whatever. And using that in a real world way that lets them feel that they're doing things that are real. We talked about citizen science and using that as an entryway for our students to feel that what they're learning in school applies also to the real world, to the adult world, and prepares them for life.
All right. Anybody else? We wrapped that up. That was wonderful. Okay. Thank you for all of you for being here, for coming, joining in with us. At this point, that wraps up the video and the cross-site portion of this. Thank you so much. We'll see you next year, I hope. We're hoping we'll see all you wonderful faces and a bunch more next year. In the meantime, have a great rest of your weekend, and that's it.